Hello, my name is Richard Salmon. I'm the 2009 National President of the Financial Planning Association. FPA has four broad focus areas: knowledge, advocacy, community, and leadership. Earlier this decade, FPA had its most major advocacy effort on the national stage with the SEC lawsuit and the broker-dealer exemption. We ultimately prevailed in that lawsuit, and FPA sort of made a name for itself on the national stage with that effort. In July 2008, we held an initial exploratory meeting with CFP Board and NAPFA, as well as FPA, and we ended up forming something called the Financial Planning Coalition. And the purpose was to work together in broad areas where we could make a difference for financial planning. As we all know, in October 2008, the financial world as we know it pretty much came to an end. Things changed dramatically on Wall Street. And as the Financial Planning Coalition got together in December of 2008, we decided to focus on appropriate regulation of the financial planning profession. We believed then, and we still believe now, that there will be change in Washington, probably the most change since we've seen since the Great Depression. In January of 2009, the coalition released a joint statement of understanding, helping consumers, regulators, and Congress to understand this is what we're about. From February through April, we had multiple meetings on Capitol Hill with the SEC, with staffers, helping to understand what our purpose was for the coalition, to educate them about what financial planning really is, and to garner support for future legislative activities. On April 27th of 2009, the Financial Planning Coalition released a broad concept of our legislative proposal. I'm going to share that concept with you now. Establish a professional standard-setting oversight board that would be subject to SEC authority and oversight. Require individuals, not firms, who provide financial planning advice to individuals or families, or who hold themselves out as financial planners or advisors or similar titles, to be subject to the board's oversight. To direct the board to establish standards of training, experience, and competence in consultation with the financial planning profession and subject to SEC review and approval. To direct the board to establish rules to promote the delivery of financial planning advice at a bona fide fiduciary standard of care. To direct the board to grant reasonable industry exemptions from oversight for otherwise regulated persons similar to those exempted under the Advisors Act to avoid overlapping regulation. And to authorize the board to enforce its rules and standards in cooperation with other financial services authorities. So where does this leave us? I believe we're now at the end of the beginning. We have an appropriate regulatory proposal on the table that can be debated both inside of the profession as well as within the regulatory agencies and on Capitol Hill. Barney Frank, the chair of the House Financial Services Committee, has made it clear that he wants to deal with systematic risk legislation first and that investor protection issues need to come second. By systematic risk, I mean those big issues that could bring down the entire financial system, and it is important that they be dealt with. And it's also possible that both could get rolled up into one bill eventually as the House and Senate reconcile their various proposals. This process could move as quickly as happening during 2009, or it could be a multi-year process. The Great Depression happened in 1929. Various pieces of legislation were passed and signed over the next 11-year period before we finally got to the 40 Act that regulates advisors at this time. So it's going to be a fluid and dynamic process. And one of the things I'd like to leave you with is this thought. Financial planners have traditionally viewed themselves as being either above or outside of the political process. I don't believe we can afford that luxury any longer. If we want appropriate and effective regulation of the financial planning process and the financial planning profession, we are going to need to be both part of that process with our voices and with our dollars in order to get where we need to be for both our profession and for the benefit of society. Thank you.